Everybody, it's Felisa. Whew. I'm super low energy today. So, this weekend has been exceedingly stressful and all kinds of things for a variety of reasons, all of which I am not going to get into here. I do want to take a brief moment to mention that I just had a dear friend to pass away. She was ill, and I thought when I saw her post that she was in the hospital and she really wasn't doing well. I did pray for her, and I thought, as she always does, that she would rally and she would come home, and I would see her soon. Sadly, she did not, and so she did pass away. And I just am asking that each one of you, as you whisper a prayer for her and for her family. She leaves behind 4 daughters, and I just can't even imagine. So, love you, Brandy. Anyway, so the other thing that happened was I discovered that I may be an inadvertent mistress. Oh, sway. Well, I'm glad you asked. So, I uploaded my vlog for dreams. At least I think I did. I probably did. Anyway, I uploaded my vlog for dreams, and one of the things that I've said, and I said it in that vlog, I've talked about dreams that I've had on this channel. I've mentioned how, I don't consider myself empathic per se. I consider myself intuitive. And so really what that just means is that I know what I know. I don't know why I know what I know. I don't know how I know what I know. I don't know why, I don't know how to control it. I don't. And I don't control the messages that I get, and I don't control when I get them. And it's 2 ways primarily that happens to me. One, like I said, I dream. And so I keep a dream journal anytime I have a dream, because I like to try and find out the interpretation and, all of that kind of thing. The other thing that happens to me with distressing frequency is somebody that I have not thought about or even seen in a while will run across my mind for no reason at all. Generally speaking, that person is no longer with us. That happens with sad and infuriating accuracy. As a matter of fact, it did happen with my good friend that passed away. Excuse me. So when that happens, it always makes me extremely pensive and sad because I just know. But back to my dreams. So when I dream, I typically, like I said, I try and find out the meaning behind things, and I keep a dream journal by my bed so that when I wake up, I'll jot down my dreams and, this, that, and the third. So this weekend, as I was going through a lot of, just emotions and swinging the pendulum and things like that, I also needed to find out how to get a process server. And the reason for that is because back in June, my daughter was rear-ended. Come to find out, the driver had no insurance. And so I filed a lawsuit because I need my money, child. I didn't want to, but I need my money. So I filed a lawsuit, and I had a court date in September. So I get this letter in the mail that tells me, hey girl, hey, don't come for this court date because we couldn't serve her. Because they serve them by certified mail. We couldn't serve her. So your next step is to come down and arrange for a process server. And we'll physically send somebody out to the house to serve her. Well, I don't know how to get a process server. So I'm looking online like, what does that cost? Like, what is the next steps? And then I really want to know, if you want to be honest, I filed the lawsuit in the city in which she lives. I don't live in that city. And I prefer not to use that court if I can help it. So I was trying to figure out if I could file where I live. You can't. Anyway, so, I'm looking at the court, and while I'm looking at the court and getting the court documents, like I remember that I had this dream. And I think that I was triggered to remember that I have this dream because the person in question is a law enforcement officer. So I'm in the courts and I'm like, so I'm getting flashes of this dream and I'm like, what what in the world, what did I dream? So now I'm sitting here and I'm asking, the Holy Spirit and all of his heavenly hosts to please remind me of this dream. And the dream was just really simple. In this dream, I was with my ex and we were having a conversation. And I remember stopping mid-conversation and I said, wait, you're married? You're still married. You're still married. Like, I remember setting it off. Like, we were in a restaurant and I remember in that dream, I was setting it, or I was going off. I was going off. Do you hear me? Animate, like I'm yelling, like I was like a spastic cow. Like it was surreal. And that's like really all I remember. So I'm like jotting down like, okay, Jesus, what is this dream? So I'm trying to remember colors and things like that. Couldn't remember that level of detail. I could just remember you're married. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe that means that he got married. And if he did, shout out to him. I mean, like, I guess I won't get no more closure than that. Not the fact that he left and, ghosted, and he ghosted me twice. And so I started calling him Casper. So, Casper, he's ghosted. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you can't get more closure than, somebody actually marrying somebody, God bless him. I hope he's happy, yada, yada. This is really what I was thinking. So then it's nagging at me. So I'm like, let me go. Maybe he had, you know what? I'm sure that I can find marriage certificates, right? You can find everything else online. I don't see why you can't find marriage certificates. Well, I didn't find any marriage certificates. I did find divorce certificates. But the divorce was not filed until earlier this year. I'm like, oh, wait a second. So I see that there was an entry, earlier in the 2000s, by what I thought was his ex-wife. But when I looked at the designation for the case, I noticed that the designation was not a designation for divorce. I've been divorced. I know what a divorce with minor children looks like. That designation is a DM. That is not what this designation was. That was a designation for support. Again, I know. So I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You got me messed up. Like this is not a thing. This is not a thing. I know I'm not looking at, so I found myself in my car. Literally. I blacked out, y'all. I found myself in my car. I have no idea where I was going. I literally was calling everybody in my phone. I'm like, why isn't nobody picking up this phone? I'm calling. I'm texting while I'm driving. I'm inboxing people on Facebook because I cannot promise that I'm going to be rational in this moment. I have not talked to my ex in about a year since he ghosted me this last time, but I promise you, it took an act of God himself to keep me from picking up that phone and calling. Not that he would have answered the phone, but that voicemail message that I would have left. Oh, Jesus. I said, okay, you know what? I can't do this. What I can do is I can make sure before I go completely off the rails and I need medication, let me get these documents. That's what I can do. I can get these documents. So that's where we are now, ladies and gentlemen. This has been part 1 of Is He or Is He Not as Felisa's World Turns, because I'm going to wait until I get these documents. And then, I'll come back and I'll update this vlog. So it'll be kind of like a part B, not necessarily a part 2. And if I need to issue a mea culpa, an apology, and I'm sorry, I'll do that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with doing that. And I'll even cop to crazy and irrational behavior. But if I don't, stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's Felisa. I have, swear to goodness, probably have recorded this at least 30 times, or at least attempted to. And every time I get through it, or try and get through it, like, I can't. So, I'm sure that you guys can tell where this is going. My song of choice would have been Jasmine Sullivan's Bust Your Windows, but I don't need a copyright strike on my channel, and I don't know how to put that in here without, getting flagged. So just pretend like I put it in there. Anyway, so, I'm sure y'all can tell that I did get the court documents. Yes, it was true. Yes, it is true. My ex did not file for divorce until March of this year, which means that for the entire time that I've known him, he's been married. I assume that it's final by now. Good for him. But for the time that we were dating, he was a married man, which is problematic for me on a whole lot of levels. I mean, when I got those papers, like, I went through emotions that I didn't even know I was capable of feeling all at the same time. I felt dehumanized and devalued and betrayed and debased and hurt and traumatized, and I was pissed. Still am. I think I was more hurt than anything else, and I just felt so incredibly stupid. Just dumb. So let me, walk y'all through the highlights of this relationship. So when we first met, we met, like I said, at his birthday party, 2009. On that first night, we talked like almost every single day. That night itself, I don't think that I've laughed like that since. Like, I had such an amazing time. It was a really, really good time. And we just clicked. We had a lot of synergy around various things, but I thought that we had a lot in common. And I remember, going out and for coffee and just long chats and talks and things like that. And I thought this was a really good guy. I did. I thought, he had his head on straight. He talked a good game. And one of the things that I will say that I realized was a problem now in hindsight, because hindsight is always 2020, is, I gave this man a playbook of how to play me, because I'm very transparent. Typically, if I feel it, I say it, and I've always been that way. I don't know how to really hold things close to the vest and not. If somebody asks me a direct question, you can bet that I'm gonna answer you. So, I told this man all the things that I had gone through in my relationship with my ex-husband and how I've been hurt and wounded and all this kind of stuff. And he took all of that information and very politely used it against me. This man was sending me poetry. He wrote a book of poetry. I'm not going to say he wrote it for me, but he wrote, this poetry, and he would send it to me and, tell me that he believed that God sent him to me, and he knew that I was his wife, and he never thought that anybody was going to love him, and he never thought that he would ever have love, and, this time around he wants to do things right and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just eating it up, just like, a little baby bird, just opening my mouth and just feed me all kinds of lies and sweet nothings, absolutely nothing. So there came a point in time in our relationship where he was at a conference. He was on a school board, and so he said, why don't you come up? I'm going to stay at the hotel. When I say up, I mean north. He lived probably about 30, 40 minutes north of where I live now. So he's like, why don't you come on up and, come to the hotel? I was like, okay then. So I go up. He meets me in the lobby. We're walking down the corridor to the elevators, and there was a display that was set up by the elevators. And it was for a reception. And so, of course, it's linens and sateen sashes on the chairs and flatware and crystal and floral arrangements. And it's all very ornate, very pretty. So I remember him looking at that and then looking at me and saying, "Oh, you need to start thinking about that." Excuse me. The lies was trying to make me choke. Anyway, so I remember, going, "What?" This was the absolute first time in our relationship that marriage was brought up. And he brought that up. So at that time, I was still pretty shell-shocked from like my marriage, and still, marriage really was not on my radar at all. Like I was still trying to figure out if there was a purpose for men. So when he said that, I was like taken kind of off my square, and it made me think, oh, this guy's really serious, and he's everything that I prayed for, and look at God. So probably about a year or so went past, and he wasn't doing nothing. No ring, no nothing. So by this time, I'm more comfortable with bringing up marriage. But every time I would bring it up, he would act as though I asked him if I could do a prostate exam. So at this time, he was also working a whole lot. So, he's in law enforcement, and so he would, take doubles, and he would patrolling, and, he would work dispatch and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm like, honey, what are you doing? Like, seriously, like, we barely see each other. Like, you always working like every single weekend, at night, up night, whatever. So, I didn't want to nag though. Like, I didn't want to be that girl. Like, I didn't want to be the one that's like always, although I can be that way. Like, I was really trying not to be. Furthermore, I know that I can be like a cat. I'm an only child. So I'm used to kind of like this solitary, aloof kind of demeanor. And so because I function that way, I wasn't always trying to be in his face, but there was, several times where I'd be like, I need my FaceTime. Like, what's going on? Hi, remember me? So I remember like just saying forget it, and I like wrote down my concerns and stuff and sent him an email. And I remember he sent me back the equivalent of Aaliyah's 4-page letter. Why I'm working so much, and I want to get married knowing that I'm financially secure, and I know that you're not about having your time wasted, and I get that, and I understand that, and I respect that, and all this kind of stuff. And I read that, and I thought, oh gosh, okay, this man, I don't want to stress this guy out. Like, I don't want to make it worse for him, even though, like I keep saying, I can be a lot. I don't want to be that person on purpose. So I'm like, okay, so he is thinking about marriage. Just because he's not talking about it doesn't mean that he's not thinking about it, right? A person can be thinking about something and not talk about it. So I let that ride. And so, looking back on it, I realized that, it was more placating. It was more like, hey, let me throw her this little bone. Let me throw her this little this. And so the further we got in a relationship, the less and less that he even brought up marriage, wanted to talk about it. Every time I would bring it up, he would seem to be very uncomfortable and just sick of it all. Which now looking back on it lets me know that this man never wanted to marry. First of all, he couldn't have married me because he was already married. Did I mention that this man's wedding anniversary is my birthday? So that means that every time I had my birthday and we celebrated it, like, how could you not remember that you're still married? And you should probably tell me that. Anyway, I realized that this man did not want to marry me. And me bringing it up just made an uncomfortable situation even less comfortable. And so, I would like get so frustrated and, just like, what is going on? Like, what's happening? And he was still giving me the same cock and bull thing. Oh, it's not the right time, whatever. It's my timing. You got your own timing and blah, blah, blah. Well, by this time, we're getting into the third, fourth, and now fifth year. And it's still my timing, my whatever. But you're already married though, boo. Like, you can't marry me. And that's something that never came out of his mouth. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so pissed, because, in none of the continental United States, none of our territories, not even our good neighbors to the north, you can't there's polygamy and bigamy and any of the other me's is illegal. Like, nowhere can you do that and get away with it and think that it's okay. It's not. I don't care what Cody is doing over in Utah or Las Vegas or wherever he is with all his sister wives and these people living all together looking all crazy. That's not something that we do at all, because it's illegal. So you can't have a spouse with a spouse. You can't. Y'all know what kind of perverted Dr. Seuss book that is. You can't have a spouse with a spouse in a house. That makes you a louse. Like, listen. After Casper ghosted me the first time, I should have left this behind exactly where he was, but I didn't. I loved him. I couldn't understand why he would leave. I just knew that it was something that I had done, something I had said, something, and he was very, very good at making me feel that way, or helping me to feel that way, because I'm very expressive, very, demonstrative. Hey, let's fix this. Let's, what's going on, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was very much like a female. Like, he would shut off and close up and have the silent treatment, and just like, it was exhausting. So when he decided that he wanted to reconcile, because he decided, and he told me this, like, he looked me in my face at dinner. He just sent me a text message, hey, let's go to dinner. We're at dinner. The man looked me in my face and told me that he told his family that we were going to get back together because that's what he wanted to do. And I remember looking at him and going, like, what kind of narcissist? I should have known something then. But no. The love in me wanted to embrace the second chance and, get on the same page, because this is your person. Like, I literally thought that this was my guy. Y'all know that I don't believe in soulmates, but if I did, I thought that it was gonna be him. Like, this was my person. That's one of the other things about me. If I love you, I will literally contort myself into pretzels to believe what it is that you told me. Even if I know it's a lie, and even if I know that it's going to hurt me. Like, I want to believe you. I do. So I went along with it, even though I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this man was gaslighting me, and he was unwilling to accept any responsibility for how the relationship ended. As a matter of fact, he literally told me that we never broke up, because he never said that we were broken up. Y'all thinking about that? So I brought down some of my journals and just reread them, and like, I'm a hard learner. Like, I really do have a learning disability when it comes to matters of the heart. And a couple of things just really stuck out to me that I actually have forgotten, which was, he used to complain about me not coming to see him. Like, I hated going to his house, absolutely hated it, because I just never felt comfortable. I never could relax. I hated it. Like, it just would make my skin crawl. And I remember telling him, not necessarily to make my skin crawl, but I was like, I hate coming to your place. Like, I don't feel comfortable. And I remember him saying, well, what can I do to make you feel comfortable? What can I do? How can I help? I should have said, stop effing other women and don't be married. But I didn't know to say that. Then, I told y'all, when he ghosted me the first time, it was over allegations of cheating, which I couldn't really substantiate nor prove, except to say that, I did find a pair of women's shoes and a scarf in his closet when I was looking for my picture. And his excuse was that, they belonged to his brother's girlfriend. So, of course, I'm like, well, did she leave barefoot? Because her shoes are still in there. And that is why, to this day, I still have a disdain for Vince Camuto and those whack-ass, cheap-ass shoes. Anyway, moving on. This is where I am now. I'm doing a lot of soul searching. I'm trying to process. I'm trying to, wrap my head around. I don't even know how I feel, except, all the emotions that I said before. But, like, at any given time, I'm numb. Like I just feel stupid, and I feel crazy, and I feel like this is the first time that I'm not crying, and I'm so excited for that. Maybe I'm out of tears. I don't know, but it's exhausting. I've gotten on my own nerves with this. Like I really have. I just want it. I just want like I just want to get over here. I will say that these are my takeaways. You know, number one, ROIs are highly overrated when it's one-sided. Stop making investments in people that don't make an investment in you. Stop giving your all to people based upon your like or your love for them, and they give you absolutely nothing in return. Like that's an absolute complete hard stop. Like no, you can't do that. You can't emotionally bankrupt yourself, and you have to be willing to walk away by any means necessary. And if people don't understand that and they can't rise to the occasion, then they don't need to be in your life, sis or bruh. Like they don't need to be in your life. Like no, stop it. Number two, the right one don't run. So stop chasing people. Stop running after people to be included in your life and to stay in your life and, you know, to be part of your life. Forget them. Forget their mamas. Forget all of them. Because at the end of the day, what are they running from if they need to be, you know, if they want to be in your life? If they're running, then clearly they don't want to be there. Open up the door so that they don't hurt themselves on the way out. The third thing is, and I have to learn this, you know, stop giving people all the tools to hurt you. I remember reading not too long ago, you know, they were like, well, we don't really talk about how dark love is because you're literally giving someone the power to abuse you. And while I don't think that love is dark, I don't believe that, you know, I believe that love is light, obviously. I don't believe that love is a dark emotion. I do understand what they were trying to say and what they're trying to depict. I do think that it leaves you vulnerable. I think that, you know, love is the emotion that will leave you wide open to all kinds of hurt. And betrayal comes a lot harder when you love because you never expected it from those people. I mean, that's why, you know, Caesar was like, "Et tu, Brute? Like, really, my dude? Like, you too?" He just couldn't fathom, like, all of the hurt from everybody else he was cool with, but Brute, like, that's my dog. Like, that's supposed to be my right-hand man. Like, how could you do that? That's the one you never see coming, and that's the one that dang near takes you out the game. Like, seriously. And lastly, I will say this, you know, I don't hate him. I don't. And I'm pretty darn proud of myself for that because, like I said, with all of these emotions, like, it would be so easy. Like, that would be easy to hate him, but I don't. I really don't. I don't respect him. I think he's a coward. And I think he's a disgusting human being. But I don't hate him. I really, really don't. And that's not for him. That's for me. Because hate is an all-consuming emotion. It will kill you from the inside out. Like I don't want to be driven by that. I don't want who I am naturally as a person to be overshadowed by disdain for somebody else. You know, I was there with my ex-husband. It took a long time, you know, even though I say that I loathe him. The reality is that no, I don't. I don't really loathe him. I mean, I'm sure he's not too fond of me. We're not each other's favorite people. I'll say that. That's mutual. But I don't hate him. I don't wish him ill. I don't sit up at night and try and figure out what I could do to make his life miserable or wish misery on him. And I don't wish misery on my ex. I do not. I think that karma will bring enough of that to him, though. I really do. I think that you can't be of nefarious intent and do things that are malicious to people, inadvertent or not, and expect that the doors will open for you. Now, that's not to say that good things don't happen to terrible people, because we know that it does. But I think at the end of the day, when you sit alone in your house and you're alone with your thoughts, if you're not a total psychopath or a total sociopath, eventually those thoughts do catch up to you. So, you know, God help them when they do. Anyway, I'm Felisa, And, thank y'all for taking this journey with me. And I have no idea why I am learning this information a year after breakup so that I can do this whack ass story time. But I'm assuming that it's not just for my own healing, but for somebody out there. And so I'm sharing it. And I hope that somebody somewhere gets something from it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.